Usually everyone buys rental properties to hold on to them forever and cash flow each month. Well, not us. We decided to sell our 5-unit apartment building that we fully renovated and got some solid tenants in place. So here's the story of how we bought a 5-unit apartment building for $165,000. And at the closing table, for us to be able to even purchase this property, all we had to bring was $212.23. And after us buying it, renovating it, putting the tenants in place, and holding on to it for a little period of time, we then sold it for the purchase price of $585,000. And if you don't believe me, here's the initial HUD of us purchasing it for $165,000. And now the HUD, also known as the settlement sheet, of us selling it this year for $585,000. So it all started with a text message of us asking the seller if he wanted to sell. He then responded back saying, "Tired landlord price, $165, a 5-unit property." Now, we all thought he wasn't serious, but turned out he definitely was. So that's when our virtual assistant replied back to him and scheduled that appointment for me to go on to see the property. And I went on the appointment to see the property, and turns out it wasn't that bad at all for a 5-unit for only $165,000. And now during that appointment, I made sure to get photos and videos of the property because my partner wasn't able to come along, but we always do this for every single appointment. Because my partner at the time wasn't able to come along, but we always make sure to do this so we can look back at the photos and stuff to truly evaluate the property. But after I got all that information, the appointment pretty much ended there, and I told the seller that I would be in touch. Now, after that appointment ended, I made sure to call my partner since he was at work at the time, and I told him, I was like, this looks like an amazing property. But we had no knowledge in regards to how commercial properties work, just because anything that is a 5-unit and above is considered a commercial property. So we were still clueless since we never purchased a commercial property before. So what we did is we hopped on the phone with our mentor, and he basically explained, like, Steph, y'all got a home run. So we made sure to call up the seller. I called the seller later that evening and told him, like, hey, we can do it for this price, slightly below what he was asking for, because you never want to just give the seller that price they're looking for. They may not, think that they got a good deal, so on and so forth. It's more so negotiation skills, negotiation aspects of things when it comes to real estate. So he didn't accept the initial price we gave him, but we accepted that $165. We all agreed on the $165,000 price. And literally after we accepted that $165,000 price, and the seller did as well, that next day I made sure to set up a time with the seller for us to meet at the property, and we got the contract signed, also known as the agreement. So I signed it, he signed it, made sure to take that to the title company, and we opened escrow. Now, literally after I sent those documents, the agreement to the title company for us to be able to open escrow, I ran back to my computer and filled out my lending document that I created just to give to my private money lenders to make it super easy to tell us if it's a deal that they want to lend on. So if you want access to that private money lender doc, check out this video I have placed down below in regards to it, so it shows you exactly how I created it. And so you can fill it out so you have the same information when you go to send to your private money lender to see if they will accept the deal or not. But I made sure to fill that out, and I was seeking the purchase price, the closing costs, and the rehab money. And guess what? They came back and said, yes, we will do this all. And that allowed us to only have to come to the table for $212.23. And when I mean the table, I mean the closing table. So once we go to fully purchase that 5-unit apartment building, which is insane, right? So our next step after we closed on the property was rehabbing it. And we had actually 3 different contractors work on it at different times. And it did take a lot longer due to us already having tenants in place. And it's not easy just working on a property once the tenants are in place. We did also have to deal with 1 eviction, which, took some time. So the overall timeline for us to be able to go in there, get the repairs done, paint the whole exterior of the building came to 9 months. Now, after those 9 months were up and we got the property fully remodeled and we had some solid tenants in place, we had to make sure to refinance the property because our private money loan term was only for 12 months. So we had to hurry up to refinance the property to get our private money lender paid off. So we went to refinance the property, and during that time, after we did the appraisal and then we were able to close on the refinance, we were able to walk away with tax-free money of $16,000, and our private money lender was fully paid off. So that allowed us to get a solid mortgage on the property, and our mortgage came to a little over $3,200. But even with the mortgage in place and with us being able to increase the rents and getting solid rents for this property with everything being fully remodeled, we were averaging a cash flow per door amount of $300 per door, which is above average typically of what other investors seek, but that's just what we were doing with our numbers and with this property. Now, after a good amount of months went by with us having the mortgage and us just holding on to the property, things have changed. So we decided to sell the property after owning it for 20 months, and we listed it on the market for $625,000. Yes, that price point. Once we put it on the market, it did take some time to sell. It took 45 days for us to find a buyer, but we were able to find a buyer eventually, and we went under contract for the purchase price of $585,000. Now, with this buyer in place, we know that they were super serious due to them dealing with a 1031 tax exchange. And I won't get into that, but I just knew that they needed to find a property in a certain period of time for everything to work out on their side of things. So we knew that they were super serious about the purchase of our property here. Now, once we went under contract, they had to do some due diligence as well. So they did put down a good amount of earnest money deposit, but they had their inspection. And guys, after the inspection, there was something that popped up on it. And what popped up on the inspection was that we needed a full new roof. And roofs are not cheap, especially for a commercial building, a commercial property like ours. So that was a little issue, and we had to come back to the negotiation table to see what we were gonna do in regards to it. So what we decided to do was get some roofers, go out to give us a quote on how much the roof would even cost. The best quote we got was $12,000 with labor and materials involved, but the seller wanted us to go with a specific company, and that price was $13,600, which, you know, everything is all fine and dandy. We went back and forth with negotiations for some time, but we were able to get it all situated, which is a blessing. And the conclusion came to, we would just take it out of our profits at the closing table. So we didn't necessarily have to come out of pocket $13,600, which made things a whole lot easier and less stressful since we didn't have to put on the new roof ourselves. So with us having to give the seller some money at closing out of our profit for that new roof, and with the seller purchasing at $585,000, our takeaway at the closing table of how much me and my business partner made, how much our company made, was $231,907.72. And this blows my mind since we purchased it not that long ago for $212.23. And that's what, like I said, we brought that to the closing table. The initial purchase was $165, but $200, we only had to bring that to the closing table to truly purchase the property. So guys, that was a blessing from God. Like, I'm very blessed, very thankful, and it was a great learning experience. Now, since a lot of people always love to see the breakdown of how it goes after you get that check at closing, this is how it went for us. So once we got that check of $231,907.72, we make sure to set 30% aside for taxes. So 30% from that amount is $69,572.31. So right after we set that money aside in our tax account, we're left with $162,335.04. But my partner and I, at this time, we owned the company 50-50. So we would just divide that number by 2. So he would get 50% and I would get 50. And that amount comes to $81,167.52. So he would get that amount and I would get that amount. So what I will say is selling our first rental property was a great decision. So that is gonna be it for today's video. I hope it gave you some insight about my journey of selling my first rental property, because you may be in the process or you may be doing it soon here shortly. I never know, but I just hope this video helped you. And if it did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Go subscribe if you're not subscribed. And if you want to see how real estate millionaires are getting rich in real estate, you're gonna want to make sure you check out this video next.